A connected community promotes unity. And on today's program, we're going to find out exactly how you can connect your community to promote unity. It's coming your way next, so please stick around. We'll be right back right after this. Hi everybody and welcome to today's program. I'm John Shollenberger. Today we're visiting with the City of San Bernardino's Neighborhood Association Council. Now you might be wondering, what is a neighborhood association? Well, it's made up of a committed group of men and women just like you and me, everyday people who come together to work on various projects and do fundraisers and events, all the things that promote a better quality of life within a community. We're going to be visiting with some of the board members of the NAC of San Bernardino. They're going to give you just a brief history of how their association, how it started, how it evolved over time, some of the pitfalls or obstacles that they faced along their journey in order to bring the association where it is today and where they want to go in the future. They're a very knowledgeable group of people, and I'm anxious for you to meet them. So let's do that right now. Joining us now are some of the board members of the Neighborhood Association Council of the City of San Bernardino. I'm going to start from my left. This is Amelia Lopez, she's the president. This is Jackie Rocha, she's a member at large. And this is Charlie Jacobs, she's the vice president of the Neighborhood Association Council. We brought them here because we want them to tell you how the moving parts of the Neighborhood Association Council. And I'd like to start with you, Charlie. Now, what was the foundation? How did this association start? Who was responsible for that?
It started with a realtor by the name of Freddie Spellacy.
Okay.
And she was really interested in selling properties, but she was having difficulty because of unkept yards.
Okay.
And she decided to group neighbors and businesses together and try to do something about it.
Now, can you give me a time frame? When was that? 1960s, 50s, 70s?
I became involved around 1997.
97.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm thinking about Spellacy. When did that come about? Was that probably maybe the 70s, around there?
No, it was pretty much around the same time, as far as I know.
Time.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So Freddie Spellacy
Mm-hmm.
saw a need to not just sell the wonderful homes that are in San Bernardino, and there's a lot of wonderful homes here, quality homes. But she saw a need to bring the community together to make them involved, and that birthed the Neighborhood Association.
Yes.
So that to me, I like that idea, because not only were people giving an opportunity, they were given an opportunity to buy here, but they're also given a stake in it. To make it, this is your opportunity to make this community what you want it to be.
Exactly.
And I think that's wonderful. Now,
I think Spellacy's motivation initially, like Charlie said, was to address blight and graffiti and beautify many parts of the cities, because there were a lot of quality homes, but because there were some areas that were blighted or graffitied and so forth. So that was the start of it. And of course, over the years, the neighborhood associations have evolved to address other quality of life issues as well.
okay, and that's an interesting segue into, now, when this, how did this council come about? I mean, was it started by Spellacy, or did this just recently become the core of the council, of the neighborhood associations? The council was started by Spellacy?
We were formerly known as neighborhood cluster associations.
Okay.
And then over the years, we were doing things that were other than cleaning parks or fighting blight and graffiti and things like that. And we decided to change our names to Neighborhood Association Council.
I like that title because it gives so much more of a established name and feel to it. It just it gives grounding to it, and it makes it seem like it's so much more established. It isn't something that's the flavor of the month. It's here to stay. You know.
Sometimes it has been known, at least I heard about it this way when I got involved, as the President's Meeting, or the President's Meeting, because the Neighborhood Association Council and the Cluster Association at that time also was made up of all the presidents of all the active neighborhood associations. It's an opportunity to discuss and network and work together towards issues.
Okay, and now and that's an interesting bridge into a question I like to talk to you. Actually, something I like to talk to you about: interfacing with the city government. Okay, you said recently you had an opportunity to speak with them and present your ideas and things that the association council would like to do in partnering with the city government, so that it adds more value to that, so that they have an opportunity to participate as well, and to see the work that you're doing is just helping to build a better quality of life for San Bernardino. So can you give us a little bit of a background about that?
Well, one thing that we have in common, neighborhood associations and City Hall or City Council, our policymakers, is we do want the best for the city of San Bernardino. We want to improve things, reduce crime, a lot of issues that affect any city in the United States. And so we really have that common denominator, and really there is strength in combining our resources to do so. So we always look towards opportunities to partner with the city, to collaborate with the city. And if they're smart, and they have been recently, they will also partner with us, because after all, we are the neighborhoods, we do make up the city. This is where their constituents and the residents live.
Exactly. So we're the ones in the neighborhoods, seeing what goes on every day and what needs to be done. And the neighborhood associations are the ones out there and on the front lines doing the work each day. Now, Jackie, briefly, I'd like to ask you, what is it that you do within your role in the neighborhood association council?
Oh, well, I just give my input at the meetings because we're trying to accomplish so much right now. We want to get training. I brought up the fact that I felt that, I've been doing this for I don't know how many years, at least 10 years, and I just don't have the experience just to conduct a meeting when someone's trying to kind of monopolize the meeting, or when I create my flyers or my newsletters, I look at them and I go, these don't look professional, I want something that's really going to catch the neighbors, attention, which, I just feel like that I don't have enough experience other than watching the previous president do what she's doing. But it's hard to get people involved during these times. A lot of families are commuters and very involved with their young children or their elderly parents, and they're busy. They want to stay home. They want to just enjoy their evenings at home. But we need to, as communities, we need to see what's happening. And recently there was a car break-in in our neighborhood, and this woman was, or her home was broken, the car was broken into. She actually reported it on our neighborhood website, but no one did anything about picking up the glass in the street. And so, the neighbors and I just kept communicating till one of the neighbors finally said, I'll go clean it up,
I like that. See, it's connecting people to come together to serve in any way possible, in any capacity. That's what I like about this. And because, like you said, when you come to these meetings, you're gaining information from other people on how you can communicate things out, or how you can make your communication better within your associations. That's valuable.
There's two things that Jackie said that if I may highlight a little bit. She says, I don't always know how to do these things. People have to remember that neighborhood associations are made up of residents. We're all volunteers. We all have observed and recognized certain things that need to be improved in our neighborhoods and so forth. Not necessarily that we have been presidents, or we were given the name of that. But people need to remember that we're neighbors. We're residents, we're volunteers, and we do this for the love of our neighborhood. I think the other thing is she touched upon some of the barriers that we have, People are commuters, they're quite busy with their children, they just want to relax. We have residents who say, oh no, we don't go out at night, and so forth and so forth. But that is also within the realm of the work of neighborhood association, that connectedness, that neighborliness. I have had more fun. That's how I got to know these ladies, these great people who serve on, and they don't live that far. Some of them didn't live that far from me, you know, and the first time I met them. And they're good people, and I enjoy working with them.
There it is, connecting the community to promote unity, as we said in the beginning of the program. And I just think that's a key element of this neighborhood association council. Now, I'd like to ask you, Charlie, give an example of like an event that a neighborhood association would get involved in. Anything from, what's the first thing you could think of?
Oh, well, we go back to, it was around Route 66. We were preparing the city for that event, and the mayor at that time, Mrs. Valles, kind of challenged us to take certain parts of the city and clean up, and we had a wonderful response. And we've done that, and park cleanups, we've done recycling events. There's also events in the city around Christmas holiday time.
Okay.
And so, you know, we try to be active and provide residents with, you know, things to do. And we always have a pretty good turnout.
That's wonderful. You put it out there to the community, and they respond because it gives them an opportunity to be involved.
Right, and to
have
give
a
back.
stake in it, and to give back. And some people, they want to do that, but they don't know how to do that. So then you're giving them the opportunity as something as simple as just coming and helping and being involved for that day. Now, I wanted to talk to you about training and things that you're looking at for the Association Council in the days ahead. There are summits and seminars and things. Do you want to touch on that a little bit, Amelia?
Some of the trainings we're hoping that we can incorporate in our regular monthly meetings. Simple things like maybe how to design a flyer or put it together a community newsletter, which is one of the basic tools that a lot of neighborhood associations use to communicate door to door. Running meetings, how to serve as a board, how to fundraise, things of that nature.
Okay.
We are also looking, I'm always looking for opportunities outside of our meetings, which one big one that's coming up in May of 2019 is the Neighborhood USA Conference, which is a national conference. And this year it's happening in Palm Springs, so we're hoping to send several of our presidents. That gives them an opportunity to attend workshops and learn about other neighborhood associations across the United States who are having success with their program. We are looking to hopefully work together with the city to establish a neighborhood leadership program.
Okay.
Because, as I always tell people, we're graying and we won't be here forever. But there's always the need to bring up the next community leader.
Right. Inspire others.
Inspire others and pass that baton. And then I can only hope that we build a strong enough foundation so that when we pass that baton, others are inspired to pick it up and go with it. And we need that. We need the training for ourselves. We need to train the next generation of what I refer to them as residents advocates for the city of San Bernardino, who will feel the pride and have gained some skills, because we all need a little bit of knowledge and skills to run our meetings and so forth, and know how to access government and the process of getting things done. So those are some of the highlights that we're looking forward to.
I love to hear all the things that are going on within this Neighborhood Association Council. They're looking at all the different avenues to improve, to mentor, to inspire. It just seems this is not going anywhere anytime soon, and that is just wonderful. It's only gonna grow from here. And I can tell you, I'm a transplant to San Bernardino. I've been here proudly for 10 years. And the one thing that I truly enjoy about this community is my community that I was in previously was becoming very fragmented. And a lot of that had to do with economics, in my opinion. But what I loved about San Bernardino when I first came here was the community feel. that I experienced from people who'd been here for so many years, just like these ladies here. They love this city. They've been here most of, if not all of their lives. They care about this community. They weren't just people coming through, investing and leaving. No, their families were here. They raised their children here. And they have a history. And they wanted to stay and continue to make things better. And it made me feel like I had a home here. And I became involved in, block captain is in our neighborhood watch in our program. And once I became involved in that, I met ladies just like these and other people who were serious and involved in that process. And it helps make a solid community. And I can tell you, there's a lot of good days ahead for San Bernardino. I can see it. and the work that these ladies and the gentlemen too involved in the neighborhood council, they're the ones in the background doing all that work to try to get everybody else involved so that it's a collective effort, wouldn't you say? I mean, we can see the good days ahead. And we do have some very, some new ideas coming in our city government, some new minds, some fresh ideas that are going to be coming. So I'm excited to see the days ahead for San Bernardino. Some very good days. But it was folks like you who've been here, who stayed here, that set that ball in motion, the wheel in motion, because of the work that you're doing. So it was important to me to have them on and to introduce you, the people at home, to these ladies and to this council, to inspire you to start thinking about implementing something like this in your community, because you'll be glad you did. And there's a lot of people that are shy and they're shut-ins. They'll come out and they won't feel so alone anymore because they extend the opportunity. It's just up to the individual to come out and be a part of it. So
residents should also know that neighborhood associations work towards addressing issues that directly impact them. So we're not just about cleaning up and beautification of the city. We've done projects that have included reducing crime, traffic patterns, housing and density in the community, healthy community projects, and supporting other community events and other groups as well. Establishing that neighborliness and connectedness means block parties and festivals.
Yes.
And the other thing, I mean, who said that we couldn't have fun while we were doing
Right,
all this work? And so
right.
we are having fun. We are having fun.
That's a nice reward to be able to have that for yourselves, for the people to have fun. Because some of the associations host for example, a Christmas celebration in the park, holiday celebration in the park, or like you said, there was a parade that goes on through town that's made up of people's classic cars and all that type of thing. And
the Ho-Ho Parade.
The Ho-Ho Parade.
And when the city could no longer support it financially, it was the neighborhood associations who joined with the Ho-Ho Parade Committee, and they sponsor the arrival and departure events at the different parks and stuff. And they do Christmas caroling, Christmas trees, goodies, raffles, all kinds of things,
That was another element that just made it feel like home. When I see those cars coming through my neighborhood with Santa Claus on the back of the other car, and it's so much fun. Well, I want to thank you for taking a few minutes of your time to talk to the people at home. You're inspiring them to see what's possible when you establish a neighborhood association. And with that, again, this is Amelia Lopez and Jackie Rocha, and this is Charlie Jacobs. And they are board members and servants within the community of the City of San Bernardino's Neighborhood Association Council. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank
we
you.
really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Joining us now is this gentleman, David Adlington. I've asked him to join us because he's in the process of getting his neighborhood association off the ground. And so I wanted to invite him on the show to tell you, the folks at home, some of the things that he's going through in trying to make that happen, because it's not always easy to get something off the ground like this and have it be a success. David, thank you so much for joining us today on the program. Now, if you could just tell the viewers at home when was it in your heart you said it's time for my neighborhood to be a part of the Neighborhood Association Council, and what was it how did all that come about?
Okay. Well, the big trigger for me was in the summer of 2018, I retired from my job.
Okay.
So I had time available, and I had decided not to make any sudden major decisions.
Okay.
I had years prior to that been a little bit involved in attending a neighborhood meeting, but because of work and raising a child, there just wasn't time. Right. But with my retirement, in considering what to do, I was approached by the president of one of the other neighborhoods and asked if I would be interested in restarting my neighborhood.
Okay.
So I spoke to people at the Neighborhood Association Council,
Okay.
got involved in their meetings, connected with some people to get resources through the city of San Bernardino, and decided that I would reach out to my neighbors. I knew a few people around the house, but you don't usually get a lot of contact.
Right.
So I spoke a little bit to them, but I really wasn't getting much answer. So I felt I need a broader reaching out.
Mm-hmm.
I had a map of my neighborhood and counted about 800 properties
Okay.
in the neighborhood. So I wanted to reach out to as many of those homes as possible using a flyer.
Okay.
Because we have so many people who speak Spanish,
Uh-huh.
I realized I should try to put something out that is in English and Spanish.
That's a very good idea.
Mhm. And I wanted to keep it short because I had no funds to do this. I was paying for this myself to begin.
Okay.
So basically I got a flyer produced, which
Okay.
I worked on, and someone edited a bit for me. One side English, one side Spanish.
Perfect.
And my target was to get that out to as many homes as possible in the neighborhood, realizing there's approximately 800. So I divided the neighborhood into sections and felt that one way to get people involved was to target the youth. So
okay.
I hired about 4 or 5 young people in the
Okay.
neighborhood to go out and distribute flyers, and that
Nice.
got roughly 300 or 400 flyers out. I also did
Wow.
some distribution myself. But in that flyer, I listed about 3 different meeting times and dates because I realized not everybody could make Tuesday evening at 6 p.m.
Right.
or Thursday morning at 9 a.m. So I
Okay.
proposed one evening meeting, one morning meeting,
Uh-huh.
and then one Saturday
That is
meeting.
nice because it gives the opportunity for people that aren't able to like you said, not to make the other meetings. It gives them that choice and,
Yes.
that opportunity. I like
Yes.
that was very insightful on your part.
So the idea was that each meeting would be the same thing, and because I was just starting this, I proposed that we meet at my house. So I had listed my house as a residence
Okay.
and sent the flyers out. I also had a sign made up that I could put on my front lawn, which mentioned the name Shandon Hills Neighborhood Association.
Okay.
And days when I was home and available, I would stick that out on my front lawn. And so I just made people aware that at this house there is some information and someone to talk to about the neighborhood.
Now, see, that was also insightful because sometimes when people get flyers, sometimes they may not know what they're about because they don't really take the time to look at it. So, like, let's say I was driving home from work and I lived in your area. I see the sign out there. Just another clever idea to come up with to get somebody's attention and let them know, hey, there's something going on here that's going. We're trying to bring something valuable to the community, and come here if you want information about that. So
Yes.
that was very insightful too.
Yes, and what I found was people could contact me by email, by telephone,
Okay.
by walking up to the door,
Okay.
and there was also a bit of posting on a city website.
Oh, okay.
But I found that most people would contact me either by email or telephone.
Okay.
A few came up to the door, not very many.
Okay.
But I did notice some flyers that I put out at the sign did disappear.
Okay.
So you just reach out. My response was low, which was a bit disappointing.
But that's to be
But-
expected in the beginning.
Yes, but you have to start somewhere.
Right.
So for about 2 months, perhaps, I had several meeting dates. And out of that, some meetings, one person showed up. Some meetings, 3 people showed up. I had 1 or 2 meetings where nobody showed up. But you persevere, and that was the
Right.
encouragement I received from the Neighborhood Association Council. Out of that period of time, I generated a list of about 25 names.
Okay.
And these were people who lived in parts of parts of my neighborhood and different areas, because what I did was stuck a little sticker in my map so I
Oh.
could make a picture of where the responses were coming from.
Keeping track.
Keeping track
Good.
of the areas of my neighborhood that were responding, and and some parts of my neighborhood didn't get the flyer, in all fairness to them. So I met with people, I got the names and contacts for about 25 people, and what I'm working on now is taking that core group of 25 to get together as much as we can, or
Yes.
bring them together as much as I can, to go forward from this point. Who wants to form, for example, a board? Who would
Right.
sit on that board?
Right.
What are some things we could target for our neighborhood? And that was the discussions we had when we met. I got people's concerns and their interests, but also finding out what their skills and talents are, because you've got a whole bunch of people in your neighborhood who have skills and talents. For
Right.
example, recently I had some plumbing issues.
Okay.
Well, it would be really nice to know who I might contact in my neighborhood, because there are people in my neighborhood with those skills. Just like my skills as a retired teacher. If I want to look at tutoring, there should be numerous people in my neighborhood who could use my skills. So I think that's a very important thing that we do, is network together
Yes.
and help each other out to make.
And you know, you bring up an interesting point, and it just, you really got my brain going. When I was invited to another neighborhood association's meeting to see how you guys are doing what you're doing in other associations meetings, and there was guest speakers there, which you're planning on doing that as well.
Yes, in the future.
Okay, it was an auto repair business that was there. That they're a part of the community they serve, and I patronized that business and ended up getting probably the best service I'd seen in a long time.
Yes.
You know, so you never know what you're going to see when you come to a meeting or who you're going to meet.
No, and when you know each other and use each other for business, it probably helps too in the quality of the business. You're working
Right.
for someone that you know. So perhaps you'll do a little better job. Perhaps you will do a little extra, because it is in the neighborhood. And it's very important. It's very important to meet those connections and to find out too, for example, if you have children, we don't interact much these days.
Right.
You go outside in your neighborhood and there's no children around. People are all inside.
Inside playing video games or
Inside
doing
playing video games or watching TV or using the computer. But wouldn't it be nice to know that in the neighborhood there might be 10 children who have the same interests that your child has? And it would be nice to be able to reach out and network with those children and those families to come together. My child could go to your house and spend a couple hours with your child because you're going to work on something they enjoy together.
Right.
So I would like to see those opportunities, not just for the parents, but also bringing in the young people.
See, and I think that neighborhood association is a great vehicle to help promote that or to help bring that together, because it's someone there that could be trusted in the
Yes.
community, that's in a leadership position, so to speak, or a centralized person. It gives people a level of comfort,
Yes.
because you're involved in something that's relevant and it's genuine, and it's a part of to a degree a community. It's a community function. So
Yes.
I like that idea. So what I ask you now is your vision for how do you see, you're seeing great days ahead for Shandon Hills as a result of this.
I see that there could be. The challenge is getting people involved. We're all busy when we're working. It's very difficult to schedule things. You're tired after work, you might be working odd hours, but it's really, really important to come out to meetings, to get involved in your community.
Right.
Because that involvement will show people you care. It shows the city leadership that you care.
Right.
And it's so much easier if a group of people bring
Right.
their concerns
Right.
to try to get something done rather than one or two voices in the crowd. So I think by networking, by coming together, you not only improve the quality of life for yourself and your family, but you improve it for others. And then reaching beyond the neighborhood, you improve it for the city and other areas too. So I
just
think
helps.
people really, really have to understand you've got to get out to meetings, you've got to get involved.
And well said. David Adlington, thank you so much for joining us today. It was important to me to have you on because I can see that you have a vision. You have a vision and you want to see this become a success, and you're taking all the necessary, and actually you're, as an individual, you're going above and beyond what a normal person would do. But your objective is to see this not be just the flavor of the month, that this be a success. So again, thank you so much for joining us, and again, this is inspirational to other people so that they don't feel so apprehensive about if they have to be the one person that does get the ball rolling for change. It's possible
Yes.
for one person.
Yes.
So thank you so much again for joining us.
You're welcome.
Joining us now is Lynn Ware. She is the president of the Muscoopiabi Neighborhood Association. She's also the secretary within the City of San Bernardino's Neighborhood Association Council. And the Muscoopiabi Neighborhood Association it's a well-established association, and they do a lot of different things. So I wanted Lynn to have an opportunity to tell you, the viewers at home, some of the things that A to Z, what they're doing within their association that's helping to improve the quality of life. Lynn, thank you so much for joining us today on the program.
Glad to be here.
Give some of the viewers at home tell them about some of the things that you're doing as an association. And first of all, where are you on this map here?
Yeah, well, here we are. It's the famous triangle formed by the three freeways, the 215, the 210, and the connector 259. Those are our established boundaries. Muscoopiabi Drive runs right down the middle of our neighborhood boundary area, so that's our namesake. Just a little bit of history. Back in 2011, I wanted to start a neighborhood watch on my block and met with the police department and kind of got that going. We met on our back patio, and then we decided to join 2 or 3 other neighborhood watch blocks that were having poor attendance to try and improve on that. And we started meeting at the school, Davidson Elementary School, and then we actually evolved into a full-on neighborhood association. We title ourselves /Neighborhood Watch because we do focus a lot on public safety, but we're not an actual neighborhood watch group. That's a little bit of a different organization. And over the years, I think we started out with public safety issues and trying to address and identify those within the neighborhood and come up with ways to resolve that, bring in speakers and whatnot to address some of those issues and get some solutions going. It kind of then also, in keeping with other neighborhood associations' agendas, we did some cleanups in the neighborhood, picking up litter, trimming bushes, and we partnered with some of the other people in the city, Burtec, to make that happen. And we continue to do that. We have 2 neighborhood cleanups a year, a fall cleanup and a spring cleanup. But then we gradually morphed into it and added and evolved as the whole Neighborhood Association Council has in terms of our missions and goals. We've also now have a strong disaster preparedness group.
Oh.
We have about a dozen or so of our neighbors just within Muscoopiabi neighborhood who
Okay.
have completed the Community Emergency Response Team training, myself included, CERT, C-E-R-T.
And that's offered by the City of San Bernardino, correct?
It is now. You
Okay.
can also take it in other cities. I happen to have taken mine in Fontana because at the time, back in 2011, when I took my training, the city didn't have a program going,
Okay.
but they have restarted it now. And we now have actually in the city a brand new emergency manager who's pushing for that.
Oh.
And I'm hoping that that effort will be combined with the organization of the Neighborhood Association Council and the neighborhood associations to improve and expand that program. It's a perfect fit, I think.
I think it would be.
And out of that effort, we actually, our little group in the neighborhood, we have been meeting for 2.5 years, almost monthly, to review our training, to be able to
To stay
respond to the
fresh.
neighbors, and to come up with at least somewhat of a plan to respond to our immediate neighborhood and neighbors
Yes.
after a disaster. And that has, we still have a long way to go, but we've come up with some ideas and ways to accomplish that. And that's ongoing. A couple of us have taken ham radio classes,
Oh,
and so we're able to
okay.
communicate. We need help in Muscogee to the powers that be. So there's that, and we also, a spin-off from that, we had there's a social aspect that I think is important that we all need to include in our efforts as neighborhood association groups. We partnered with Davidson Elementary School,
Okay.
and we put on a disaster preparedness safety fair back in September of 2017
Oh,
on the
okay.
campus of Davidson Elementary School. 400 neighbors attended.
Wow.
It was awesome. There were all kinds of things to do. Information, games, the earthquake simulator, food, music. It was wonderful. So,
Now, question on that. What's involved in putting an event like that together? I mean, because
A lot.
I see, and that's the one thing I'd like the viewers at home to understand. It's a collective effort to put an event like this together, but because the people the buy-in is there, because they realize that the benefit and the payoff is going to be big.
Yep.
You know, so it's a lot to get. You got to reach out to a lot of different people involved in these things in order to get that off the ground.
absolutely true. It was definitely a team effort, kind of a collaboration. We pulled together a couple of, we did it in combination with the Blair Park Neighborhood Association.
Okay.
So Joyce Seeger, who's the president of Blair Park NA, and myself, and a couple of other board members, neighbors, and the principal, and we had 6 or 8 teachers from Davidson Elementary School that participated on this planning committee.
Wow.
As well as the district emergency safety officer and other people. It was a collaborative effort. And that's the beauty, that is what we can accomplish and do as a neighborhood association council, is to make those connections and build those relationships throughout the community, not only with our city and elected officials,
Right.
but just other entities, so that we can have fun things to do, but also to address pressing issues
Right.
and to come up with some solutions.
Right.
I would like to say one thing too. I feel like it's important to understand that the overarching purpose of neighborhood association is building relationships.
Yes.
Not just with the city
Right.
and with the other groups, but with each other.
Right.
And to build community in that way. And you can do it through all these activities. And not everybody will come to a meeting.
Right.
And so determining your success as a neighborhood association should not be about how many people came to your meeting.
Right.
Because there's so many other ways people can plug in, and they may not be able to for some unknown, their work during certain hours, can't come at night to a meeting,
Right.
have other obligations. But I found people will plug in when and however they can.
And you give them the opportunity.
And we give them
by-
that opportunity, and we appreciate it, and they appreciate what we're doing. We get a lot of appreciation from folks that they can't attend, and they apologize, but they appreciate what we're doing. And so I think that overarching building relationships piece is very important to emphasize for
I
all
want
of us.
to mention something if I could. This lady is very involved in her neighborhood association. I saw her personally taking ownership to ensure that her neighborhood was clean. She was out on her walk, and she was just taking the initiative to see something that needed to be done. She wasn't doing it for attention. She was just doing her daily walk through her neighborhood and saw an opportunity for something to be done, and she took the initiative to do that. And it could be something as simple as picking up a few pieces of trash here or there that you see on a parkway, or something. Every little thing helps to improve the quality of life. And I was so impressed, and I said, she's not just being a president to be a president, she's involved. She's one of the people that are hands-on doing the work along with everybody else. And that gives me another topic as far as the cleanup goes. Correct me if I'm wrong, your group actually did some cleanup along a back part, in a back field that was having a bit of an issue near freeways, something like that, that needed to be weeded out and cleaned up, and it was just something that needed to be tackled.
Yes, that was one of the first things we did along Colima Road. It's I'll call it a frontage road along the 210 freeway. One side is homes, and on the other side are bushes, and then the freeway wall. And back in 2013, if that's what you're referring to, there were thick bushes there that needed to be trimmed, and there were homeless people living in there and whatnot, transients. And they were having some issues in the neighborhood, with theft and break-ins and so forth, and issues at the school.
Okay.
With their security.
Okay.
And that was one of the first things we did. We partnered with Bobby Vega and the Conservation Corps, Urban Conservation Corps, and they
okay.
came in with their heavy equipment and chainsaws. And we cut up the bushes and cleaned out that whole area so that we eliminated that particular problem. And it was noticeable. It was a definite positive outcome.
See, and if Muscoopiabi would have just waited for somebody else to do that work, there's a lot of projects going on within the city, and at that particular time, it wasn't always easy to get something done quickly. So they took the initiative and rolled up their sleeves and got to work because it was their community. And they took ownership for that, and because they wanted to see the positive results. Right. And like you said, maybe these people weren't coming to a meeting, but they'd show up for something like this.
Right.
And that's
Right.
wonderful. That's why I like these associations,
Right.
because it gives people an opportunity, regardless, to be involved.
Right. There's ways to get involved, lots of different ways, and we like to provide that. And I would like to get back to you mentioned earlier about me walking. I'm
Yes.
not the only one. There's a lot of people walk their dogs. And there's a couple of gals that once or twice a week will walk with their bucket and their litter pickers, and they purposely walk different routes each time, pick up litter, and then they stop off for a donut, or they'll stop over to Jack in the Box for whatever they get in the morning, a cup of coffee. So it's a social thing. So the social gets threaded in with the kind of operational, clinical, whatever you want to call it,
Right.
kind of a thing, and it's just a nice mix. Speaking of social, we have now a bunco group of 12 ladies that meet every
Nice.
month. Some of us didn't know each other,
Uh-huh.
a lot of us. I have a dear friend that I didn't know back in 2011.
Uh-huh.
And so now we meet once a month and play bunco, and that's a direct spin-off from our involvement in the neighborhood association. We now have a social group of gals, and it's just, it's a wonderful thing. The partnership with the schools is important too, and I'd like to try to encourage that each of the neighborhood associations that have a school in their area to begin to partner with the schools.
Right.
You have parents there, you have students there that live in the neighborhood, and they may or may not be involved in the neighborhood association, but we all have common interests and concerns and issues, and
Their
it's a
children's
social
safety.
thing. It's the safety. It's again another way of building relationships in the Muscoopiabi area. We've partnered with the principal and staff at Davidson Elementary School.
Okay.
We are just launching a program. I think I'll call it Walkability.
Okay. I was going to ask you about
which is
that.
not just it's several-fold things, but primarily it would be to assess pedestrian safety
Okay.
and overall traffic safety within
Very
the neighborhood.
important.
And then out of that, I'm hoping that by addressing those issues, we may also be able to beautify the neighborhood or make it more favorable to just general recreational walking for our health.
Yes.
But it also can potentially decrease crime, because the more eyes that are out on the neighborhood watching
Right.
and walking, the less chance or opportunity there is for the ne'er-do-wells to commit
Right,
crimes.
right.
So, and just to build relationships in the process of doing that, a walking group, what have you. Some areas do have walking groups, so.
And like when you have those walking groups established, other people who don't like to walk by themselves have
Yeah.
an opportunity to walk with other people and get out and
Keeps each other accountable
yeah,
to do it. Let's
you
go,
know,
come on.
Yeah, but then again, there's people that are just like, I don't want to go by myself. I don't feel safe or whatever. There's people in your community that are going, so why don't you just go ahead and join
Yeah.
the fun,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
get to learn, get to know them, and they can get to know you, and you feel safer, and it's a more cohesive community feel.
Right,
when
exactly.
when you do that. So, and
Exactly.
you know, I'm impressed with Muscoopiabi because of the various things that you're doing, and you're actually, because I'm a part of our neighborhood association, which is the Arrowview Association. Faye Aldridge and myself are in the process of, we want to revive this, and our objective is to, Muscoopiabi invited us to their meeting, and a lot of the other associations do that as well. Come to our meeting, see what's going on, you know, guide us. We're going to these meetings to see how you're doing what you're doing. And it's nice for us to have that resource to plug into, because our objective is to not only revive this, but it's not going to be the flavor of the month, as I keep saying. Our objective is to get this established and for it to move forward.
Right.
You know, but it's not just she and I are the association. And I put this out on a flyer. I said, it's made up of you, the people in the community, and that's the key for it to be a success.
Right.
So that's our objective, is as we come to these presidents' meetings like we did today, just to see what you're doing and how you're doing it. But it's also, I like that about the council, because you have a network of people. You're not doing it by yourself.
Right.
And you know, like you mentioned, watch groups here and there. Now, some of those neighborhoods could have that in place, but they don't have resources that they could reach out to in other areas that are available to them, and they're kind of like an island unto themselves. That's what's nice about this Neighborhood Association Council. It's here for you, and will do whatever they can to help you succeed.
Right. And increasingly, and I think we talked about it today at our meeting, we are recognized by the city, electeds and city officials and so forth, and other important areas or groups in the vicinity, that we do have clout and purpose, and that we're legitimate, and we're not trying to work against the city.
Right.
We want to partner with the city
Right.
to accomplish the same vision and goals for our community.
Right.
And if it's okay for me to segue into
Yeah, I
the
did
map
want
a
to
little
talk
bit.
about the maps, which is, tell us about what it's all about. What's the purpose of this?
Well, having just discussed all the positive things and the wonderful things that are going on, and the fact that you and Faye are looking to launch Arrowview as a reactivated new group, and you just had David on, Shandon Hills is becoming reactivated. We have
Right.
several others, new ones, and we would like, since right now currently there are about 54 or 55 defined neighborhood associations with a name and a specific boundary, and they each have a little different color. You can't tell probably from this distance, but there's about not quite half that are activated and going. Some are new and some have been longstanding. So our goal with our recruitment team is to reach out to those areas that are not currently active. They may have been in the past and they had to fold for whatever reason or another, or they may never have been active. We're trying to reach out to them on an individual basis to activate their areas and to kind of focus on all these positive things that we're saying, the
Right.
accomplishments that can happen, and just the building of relationships and the value that will produce. The more of these are activated, the more influence we may
Yes.
have with the city to get our common goals accomplished and all that.
Because when I see something like this, like let's say that I was wanting to reactivate this on my own, I see all of these other associations active. It's not just some epiphany that somebody came up with. No, they're established.
Right.
They're up, they're running. It's a resource. It's available. Come and sit with us, and
Right.
we'll tell you how to go about it.
Right. In fact, that's exactly what we're doing. We're developing a PowerPoint with certain talking points and photos, and kind of coming together, those of us that are already active, to coordinate what we're going to call a neighborhood meeting. It's not a president's meeting and it's not an association meeting, but it's kind of an invitation to an inactive area to come together and become activated. We're doing what we call a micro-target. Right, our goal is to get Belvedere, this particular area right here, which is currently inactive, to reactivate.
Okay.
They have been in the past, and they lost a couple of their board members,
Okay.
and weren't able to continue. So we know we have some stakeholders, so to speak, in that area, and some other neighbors, and there's a school there, and a church who's willing to let us meet there
Gotta
So
have
we're
a
going to
meeting
put
place.
together like an invitational neighborhood meeting sponsored by the Neighborhood Association Council, and we'll bring in, information and a little PowerPoint and some conversation and discussion from successful neighborhood association presidents and whatnot to try and inspire them to become reorganized and reactivated.
Nice.
We would need to have a community leader come to the fore,
Yes.
so that's, we're hoping someone will come to the surface. And the thing is, we don't want to have them start up and then feel like they're not supported. So
Right.
one other purpose of the Neighborhood Association Council is to mentor
Mm-hmm.
and support actually any of the neighborhood association, but especially the new ones coming on to give them whatever is necessary to become successful. And so we're looking forward to that.
These maps are so
We use them.
value added.
They
and
are.
And it just tells you who's who and where they are in the entire association. Well, gosh, with that, Lynn, you've given such a wealth of information to the people that are looking at this program and contemplating or deciding whether to start an association, and you've given them quite a bit of tools and information that they could go on. So we wanted to say thank you so much for joining us today on the program.
Absolutely.
And we know that Ms. Scupiavi is going to have much more successful days ahead.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Would you want to provide contact information to anybody that was watching this? that they could-
Yeah, and when I say goodbye to you today, I'll be providing that information to you.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
it.
Well, I certainly have enjoyed my visit today with the City of San Bernardino's Neighborhood Association Council, and I certainly hope you have too. And if you'd like more information on how you can start a neighborhood association within your community, I have an email address for you. It's nacsbcal@gmail.com. Send them the information that you're looking for, and they'll be happy to respond to you. Well, until next time, I'm John Shollenberger. Thank you so much for watching.